I'm delighted to be joined now by Julie Uhrman, President and co-founder of Angel City. Julie, thank you so much for joining us. Just firstly, can you talk us through how the project of Angel City was started in the first place?
It really started as a way to change the dialogue around women's sports and women in particular, providing access and opportunity to women and using sport and entertainment as a way to drive towards equity. Natalie Portman, my co-founder, and Karen Nortman, my second co-founder, were really inspired by the U.S. women's national team. Their success on the pitch at the World Cup in 2015, followed by the 2019 victory, and recognizing that they all played in the National Women's Soccer League, but wasn't getting the exposure, the investment, the attention that the best players in the world deserved. They felt that if they brought a team to Los Angeles, built it the way only we could, and used it as a platform to talk about women and equal access and opportunity, we could change the narrative around women's sports and women. The way we wanted to build it had never been done before, using sports as a platform to drive to equity, building a women's professional soccer club in LA, which is really the sports capital of the world, where there are 11 professional sports teams, 2 men's soccer clubs in the beach and the mountains. And so it was really difficult for us to get people to sign on, to people to invest in this idea. In 2019, there wasn't a lot of media coverage on women's sports. It was less than 3%. There was no national broadcast deal. So at the time, we weren't on ESPN and CBS and Amazon Prime. And so nobody felt that there was a real business model around women's sports. And when we were trying to raise money, the individuals who believed in our story, that where it resonated, that we could build an organization where mission and capital could coexist, were celebrities and athletes who know how to utilize their platform to push forward their social initiatives, but also to push forward their business initiatives, whether they're an athlete or an actress or producer focusing on their next project. So we got our first yes from Eva Longoria, and then we realized that we were just talking to the wrong people. And to your point, we launched with something like 60 investors: Eva Longoria, Jessica Chastain, Jennifer Gardner, Sophia Bush. We also had 14 former U.S. women's national team players: Julie Foudy, Mia Hamm, Abby Wambach, and of course, the great Billie Jean King and Alana Kloss. And being able to leverage their platform and their voice to tell our story, why it was different and why people should be excited about Angel City, absolutely made a difference when we were bringing Angel City to life.
And what's amazing is if you then fast forward to last year, the club's $250 million sale was very widely publicised. How do you feel that that huge investment is going to help Angel to kick on and hopefully, in your case, dominate?
Yeah, look, it's an incredible benchmark for women's sports that tells the story that women's sports are valuable. If you invest in the game day experience, in the community, in the product, on the pitch, in the players, there's real revenue to drive. We did it uniquely. We talk about this organization where mission and capital can coexist. And so 10% of our sponsorship dollars goes back into the community. We've committed $3.9 million back into the community. We're generating over $35 million a year in revenue because we're valuing this product and these players and this community and this city. And I think that's the most important narrative, that women's professional soccer clubs can be worth $250 million. In fact, they can be worth $1 billion because it truly is a business, and the fans are showing up and the sponsors are showing up and the media partners are showing up. And I think we're one of the first clubs that really valued the product and valued these players and put a number sign on it that was reflective of that.
And Julie, you said in January 2023 that you wanted to be the first $1 billion women's team within the next 5 years. Do you feel as if you're on track for that at the moment?
I mean, we're 25% of the way there. So yeah, I feel great about it. We've been incredibly successful off the pitch. We are focused entirely on being successful on the pitch and been making a lot of moves in the offseason to do that, including the hiring of our first sporting director, Mark Parsons, who knows winning from his time at the Portland Thorns. We also opened our performance center, which is the largest dedicated performance center in the National Women's Soccer League, at over 50,000 square feet, a pitch and a half, and all of the features and functionality and equipment that our players to be successful, to really drive home what a high performance center looks like, and to remove all the questions and all the excuses from players to be their best. So when our on-field performance matches our off-field performance, I think we're going to be the first billion-dollar club, and it's not going to take very long.
Well, on that on-field performance, so far with the league positions, you joined the league in 2022, finished 8th. The season after came 5th, and then 12th. So it hasn't quite matched what's been going on off the pitch. Is that all to do with the teething problems of being a new club?
Yeah, I mean it's both. It's hard to be an expansion team and to build a roster. We also were learning as we go. So we've made a lot of good decisions. We've made some decisions that haven't been as positive, but it's all learning, and I think it's all coming together this year with our new performance center, with our new sporting director. We're out in the market to bring in a new head coach, and it's a lot of learning. The one thing we have gotten right, though, is this community support, building with our community, and building a football club that's reflective of our community, reflective of our environment. We just re-signed Alyssa Thompson and Giselle Thompson, two players from Los Angeles for 4-year deals. Angelita Anderson, who's our starting goalkeeper, to another 4-year deal, who just joined the Futures Camp for the U.S. Women's National Team. So I feel like we have all the right pieces, and it's really just been about putting it together. And in our 4th year, I think it's going to come together.
And if we talk more generally about women's football and its growth as well, in 2024 it was a record $15.6 million spent on women's transfer fees. That was more than double the figure for 2023. Yeah. We saw Naomi Girma move to Chelsea from San Diego Wave for $1.1 million, breaking that record. Are we about to see a point where the game rapidly develops in terms of everything going on off the field?
Absolutely. I think transfer market is going to continue to double every single year for the next couple of years, because what we're seeing is the value that these players have on the product of the game. Chelsea picked up Guillermo because they want to win, right? They want to get into the Champions League finals, and they want to win the Champions League. Imagine what's going to happen when you start to value the off-field value of these players as much as you value the on-field performance. You're going to see that transfer fee grow. The second thing that I think is accelerating the growth of the transfer market really is the idea that great players are coming from everywhere. And I think we saw that in the World Cup this past 2 years ago, and then in the Olympics last year, which is you're seeing incredible talent in Brazil, in Colombia, in Africa. It's not just the US, it's not just the UK, it's not just Spain. And as we get the exposure of these incredible athletes from different national teams and different clubs around the world, their value is going to increase. We've seen that already start to begin. Before Guillermo, Barbara Banda, I think, had the highest transfer fee at north of $750,000. And these aren't one-off anomalies anymore. We're going to see them more and more.
And in your opinion, what do you think clubs need to do to get to that level of dominance like we've seen with the likes of Barcelona and Lyon over in Europe?
I think it's really simple. You need to have sellout crowds. You want to have a fan base that's excited about your team, that are there to cheer them on year in, year out. We play at BMO Stadium, which seats 22,000 fans. We have on average 6 sellouts a year with an average of 20,000 fans per game. I think that's important for the growth of the game, and I think it's incredible for the players to be able to play in front of a large crowd, not once or twice a year, but every single game of the year. I think that's one. The second is off the field, having that high performance center for the players where they have all the equipment they need to be successful, not only in training, but also in recovery. And so when you have a club that has the community and the on-field entertainment and excitement and passion in the stadium, combined with the incredible staff that is deep in coaching and performance and medical, that can support these players holistically, and a performance center that allows them to be their very best, you're going to see players want to go to those clubs.
And Julie, you spoke about how much people were inspired by the women's national team in the US for their unprecedented success over the years. How would you compare the popularity at the moment of the NWSL with the MLS in the USA?
Yeah, I mean, look, soccer, I use that, as you mentioned, NWSL and MLS versus football. It's a sport that's not born here, right? So inherently, the NFL, the NBA, they're more popular because they've been here longer, and they're really sports that were created here. What's so special about football is that it is the global sport, this beautiful game that's played in the United States. We're seeing significant growth. As I mentioned, we play at BMO Stadium where LAFC plays. They've had sold out games since the beginning. Austin FC, in its fifth year, have had sold out games every single year and continue to have a wait list. The Messi effect, wherever Messi goes, you're seeing sold out games, but you're also seeing more people tune in to watch this game. So I think you're seeing this incredible growth in the US, both in the NWSL and in the MLS. I think the difference between the NWSL and the MLS is that the players in the NWSL are winning at the highest level, at the national level. So you're getting more of a global attention and a global fan base because you fall in love with Uhrman and you want to watch her play at the San Diego Wave FC, and then someone like Chelsea grabs her, and now you're becoming a fan of Chelsea. So it's a little bit different because of the success the women have on the national level.
And talk to me about the collective bargaining agreement for the NWSL. I've been trying to get my head round it. Essentially, are we going to see the end of a draft? And will it look a bit more like the traditional way that clubs operate in Europe in terms of transferring players?
From a player recruitment perspective, yes. We've done away with the expansion draft. So when new clubs come in to the league, we've also done away with the college draft. We recognize that, again, as talent is becoming global, meaning clubs in Europe want players that are in the college system here in the US. We don't want to create artificial barriers for us to have to wait for a draft. We want to be able to compete for the best talent and try to bring them to our club. So this year we ended the college draft so that we could go after the best players that want to be in our market, that want to play for us. We removed the expansion draft, and yes, are relying on internal trades and the transfer market to bring the best players in the world here.
And what impact might that have on teams in the WSL over here?
I think they're going to see more competition sooner, right? When we target players younger, I think, look, the players are going to have more options, which is great for them. But it's also going to result in the NWSL having to grow our staff, grow our analytics team, grow our scouting team. I think you're starting to see a trend in the NWSL of younger players enter the league, 15, 16, 17-year-olds. So we have the ability to develop them and then have them play for the clubs. So there's going to be some differences. I think one advantage the WSL has is an academy system, and that's one thing the NWSL is looking at. How can we develop more players and have them be, beneficial to our first club or be able to be, traded?
And in your eyes, Julie, what do you think the financial future holds for women's football?
Look, I don't think we're going to be the only club that's going to be $1 billion valuation, right? It's always sort of interesting to me how when you run a men's club or when you think about investing in a men's club, no one ever thinks about break even or profitability, or at least it's not a near-term goal. And for some reason in women's sports, it's a near-term goal right away. They want to invest $1 and they want to get $1 back or $1.20 back right away. I think what's changing is the understanding that if you invest in this product and the players, the revenue is going to come. You are going to build big stars that are either going to deliver for you from merchandising perspective or ticketing perspective, or if you're near Magurma, you're going to get $1 million transfer fee. So there is real return on investment that I think everyone is finally waking up to in women's football. And the more of us that invest, the faster that curve is going to be as far as value for the clubs and value for these players.
And we've got about a month to go then till the NWSL season kicks off again. What do you think the realistic goal is for Angel City this season?
Oh, I mean, my goal is always to win the championship. So that is where we always think about. But we're really excited about hosting a home playoff game. I think that's a big stretch goal for us, not only to make the playoffs, but to be one of the top four teams. There is great competition in this league. You have teams like Orlando, Pride, Kansas City Current, even the Washington Spirit that are really strong and are continue to be strong. I believe this is the most competitive domestic league in the world. Any given Sunday, we say somebody can win, and we're feeling really confident about how we're entering the season this year.
And just finally, Julie, I'm not sure how much you can tell me about this, but it was reported last month your business partner and co-founder Cara Nortman was planning to buy a stake in Chelsea's women's team. Is there any truth in that?
I definitely can't comment on that, but I can tell you any club that Karen Nortman gets involved in is lucky to have her. She has been a huge proponent for women's sports for a long time, and the idea child behind Angel City with Natalie Portman. So if there's any truth to that statement, Chelsea's going to be really lucky.
And just finally, the Women's Euros will be in Switzerland this summer. I'm sure that will be followed closely in America too.
It will, and I will be following it closely from Switzerland. I'm super excited about the Euros. It was really fun to watch. I think, the excitement around the Euros in 22 was really important as you saw the attendance grow and visibility grow. These are incredible stepping stones to prove what we already know, which is people will watch women's sports, invest in women's sports, attend women's sports, and cover women's sports. So it should be a really exciting tournament this year.
Julie, thank you very much indeed. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for having me.